Good evening, Mr. Syed. Nice seeing you again up here on the screen. And we have a lot of participants joining today for much awaited Wall Street Alliance Group educational financial webinar inaugurated by our president, Dr. Sateesh Kathula, who's traveling, and I was deputed to help along today. And I have known Syed for over a decade during my association with him here in Pittsburgh, where he was a strong supporter of our local chapter, as he has been a strong ally of AAPI for the last many years. And not only AAPI, he supports all the local alumni and specialty chapters as well. He travels widely across the nation, educating our physician members of all the intricacies of financial planning, estate planning, tax planning, etc. So it's really my honor and pleasure to invite my good friend Syed Nishat of Wall Street Alliance Group to educate our physician members again on the latest and newest situation that we're all dealing with. And welcome all our members of AAPI, and I hope you're all staying warm. And I hope all of the members of AAPI from the South who've been through some difficult times with weather-related events have recovered well. And so let's get started. Dr. Sateesh Kathula, our president, is traveling. So I have stepped in to help with this webinar. I have hosted a few webinars during my year of presidency of AAPI 22-23 when we inaugurated this program. So thank you again, Syed, and let's get started.
Thank you, Dr. Kohli, for inviting again. Really appreciate it.
My pleasure, Syed. Like I said, Syed is not only a certified financial planner, he's also a certified plan fiduciary advisor. And he has published widely, and his articles and interviews were published in on asset protection and common financial mistakes by physicians in various journals and websites, including MedPage Today, Medscape, and he's also widely quoted and interviewed on media outlets like Forbes, Kevin MD, US News, Investment News, Yahoo Finance, and many other financial channels. This is going to be a short webinar. We don't want to make it a long and tedious webinar of just presentation, but we want to make a question and answer session so you can also bring up some questions. We're going to cover the federal estate tax exemption that sunsets in year 2025, meaning if the Congress doesn't act, the current estate tax exemption will be cut into half. A decrease in the exemption amount could result in significant additional transfer taxes for families with federally taxable estates. So Syed is going to help us understand how we can better plan for our estate taxes and estate planning. We also would like our audience to participate in interactive. And so first I will ask a few questions I have on my top of my mind, and Nishat will take those questions, and then you can also put your questions in the chat box, and we will put those questions to Nishat as well. Again, thank you, Nishat. And so before we start speaking about estate planning, some off-topic questions. Tell me about your market outlook during this election year, Nishat.
Yeah, thank you again, Dr. Kohli, for volunteering Wednesday night from your busy schedule. And really appreciate what you do for AAPI. Thankless job. So thank you very much for doing it. And it's always honored to be here. Someone asked a question, will it be recorded? Yes, and we will send the recording to all the members as well soon. So number one, question, it's off topic while people are coming, just want to get started. People say that, you ask good question, market outlook. Some people ask question, who will win? So I cannot even answer that. One thing AAPI members, we highly recommend that during election year, it's a history in front of you. For the last 15 election year, only 2 times the market went down. 2008, 2000, but the rest of the time market after election on average goes up. one thing I recommend API members not to do, like I was talking to Dr. Kohli, a client of mine, and the client basically saying that, hey, election is coming, let's just sell everything. I was like, what are you doing? Let's just sell everything. After a month, I'll buy it back. So I try my level best to explain, but sold everything. So it seems like this happened. So just try your level best not to do stuff like that, because market timing has never worked. It previously people sell stuff like that. The best thing to do if you're close to retirement, if you're 100% equity, just take off maybe 20% and get into bonds if you want to, but completely selling everything and trying to time the market is very dangerous. All right. So again, this is something to avoid. But on average, if you look at the history, market always goes up. I don't think after election is an issue. What happened after election, the policy determines where the market goes. Fiscal policy that determines, like if the taxes goes up, then the market reacts. Again, have a long-term view. Don't worry about short-term. If you're 100% equity close to retirement, 80% you should be 80 to 70% stay invested, 30% into bonds. If you are young, like 40s or 50s, stay invested. Don't time the market. And a lot of API members ask me where to invest the money. If you're a retail investor, Dr. Kohli, I always, last webinar, I openly discussed about you don't need to have financial advisor to invest. Just buy SPY. Again, openly, I'm saying SPY, QQQ, forget about it. In the long run, it will go up. The rest are nonsense. This is a money making machine, but people still does crazy stuff. The problem happened, they buy like everything Nvidia or everything one stock. This has become a major challenge. So as long as you buy ETF, I'm telling you, in the long run, you will make money. You do not need financial advice to invest. Hopefully, API members understand. Avoid annuity, avoid life insurance, simple, plain vanilla product, and stay a long term. You should be good to go.
That's great, Syed. That's the best part about your webinars. You never market anything. You just tell it like it is. And like the fiduciary like you are, that you do that. I really appreciate that.
Sure.
We also have the point that you made, it's not the timing of the market, but how long you're in the market, what's the time you stayed in the market determines your returns. And
Absolutely.
again, yeah, I'm hearing about the CTA, the Corporate Tax Transparency Act. Can you explain what that is, Syed? And so our members can understand what that means.
Yeah, this is something that I think is a little important since we are doing the webinar. We thought just talk about real quick. Is CTA is a Corporate Transparency Act. This is like basically it was enacted, in 2021. It's anti-money laundering law, and this is a enhanced version of it. API member, not API member, anyone who has LLC, S corp, they do get impacted by it. So basically, the bottom line is if you have your own LLC, if you own 25% of a partnership, if you have, let's say, irrevocable trust, API member have irrevocable trust that own FLP or LLC, they have to file that LLC with Department of Treasury, a branch called FinCEN, FINCIEN. It's a must. If you don't do it, it's a severe penalty there. So the deadline is end of the year.
Okay.
Is like very, very quick. It's like January 1st, 2025. So less than 3 months away. So speak to your CPA. If you have your own LLC, you may need to file it. Don't wait too long. It's a new law. As of right now, there's no extension there. Just get it done ASAP.
Oh, thank you so much, because many of our physician members have LLCs and they need to know about that.
Correct.
Again, going back to the estate planning, is a will enough for a physician, or do we need a revocable trust as well? And what are the benefits of either of them or both of them?
Yeah. So a lot of physician, Dr. Kohli said, I just have a will. Is it enough? Yes or no? Both. I mean, if you just have a retirement account or if you just a house, maybe just a will is enough. But will, as I explained last time, is a public document. If you pass away, it goes to probate. A lot of physicians think probate is not a big issue. I disagree. Like I'm in New York. One of my clients' mother passed away, and the client was in Westchester, very posh area. We thought that probate is not a big issue. Very quickly, we will get the assets, but 4 months, still probate kept going. You must have heard about T-bills, right? The treasury bills, Treasury Direct. I don't know if you've ever invested. If you don't have
Yeah.
any beneficiary designation there, the probate is over there. They itself has their own probate, that's 6 months. So probate is a big issue, and will doesn't avoid it. So we highly recommend most physicians have substantial asset, not just one or two brokerage account. We do recommend to have a revocable trust as well. Revocable trust is a private document. You create it while you're alive, you fund it while you're alive. The benefit is avoid probate. Number two, the huge advantage I see it as a CFP. If husband and wife both pass away, children inherit the money, they get into marriage and they get into divorce, all the assets are protected. This is very, very powerful. And number three, there's something called step up in cost basis. In a when you pass away, your children inherit the money through a revocable trust. Let's say you have Apple share of $100 and you pass away, stock is $200. If you give it through revocable trust, their cost basis is $200. Step up the receiver cost basis. So again, extremely powerful. If you don't have revocable trust, pass away, still you get a step up, but it's cleaner because of the probate. So that's why we highly recommend, because of the three advantage: avoid probate for yourself if you pass away. Number two, divorce protection for the children, and a step up in cost basis. We highly recommend. It's only cost $3,500. Not a big deal. Just get it done.
I agree. Thank you very much. I know dealing with any federal or state agencies takes a long time to get your money back. For example, I have some unclaimed property in Pennsylvania Treasury, and I'm trying to get it back. And I sent so many papers, and they're still asking for more.
Yeah,
So better to have control of our assets, and even after when we pass.
yeah,
So thank you. So
correct.
what are the common mistakes in estate planning, Syed? Can you shed some light on it so we can learn from how not to make those same mistakes?
Yeah, I've been doing it for almost 17 years. There are three major mistakes I make. So you create revocable trust, but what they do, they put their children, like I have my two kids, Aya and Noah, and if I pass away in the trust, I put in everything goes their individual name. Don't do that, because think logically, same problem happen from the trust. If I were to pass away after a certain age, they got their individual name, and they again get married and they commingle the money with their spouse. The spouse, assets become half. So the best thing to do, put a provision there in a revocable trust that children will not take money out on their own hand. They will open their own trust and transfer money out. Again, it's like a child trust will be created and then they take the money out. So in this way, no commingle. Number two, major mistakes we see, not funding the trust. Like you created all this revocable trust, all the fancy documents, but you haven't moved the assets under the name of the trust. Like the house, this house I'm sitting right now, the luxury house you sitting, it should be under the name of the trust. If you don't move it, you pass away, still it goes through probate. So make sure you fund everything as well. All right. And number three is not updating with the latest provision. Lot of people created trust like 5, 10 years ago. You moved to a different state, please update it. It's not a one-time thing. Every 5, 6 years, you should update it. A small update costs few $100, but it's a major update. It may have to rewrite everything. But again, these are the three mistakes we see it. Don't give it under the name of the children. Make it mandatory. Open their own trust, not funding the trust, and make sure that you update the trust every, I would say, 6 to 7 years.
Thank you again. So there are some questions streaming in as well. We'll answer those. And also, a lot of our API members are on J1 or EB1 visa. And how does estate planning work for that group of cohort of our API members?
So basically, there's one thing to understand, that in America, if husband and wife both pass away, uh, the the asset transfer is unlimited. Like if I pass away, my wife assets everything, um, basically unlimited federal amount. But that is not the case for children, or if you have a spouse who is non-US citizen. The reason is because the amount is only very small, 148, 150,000. The reason is basically what happened is if a person is non-spouse and if the person is non-US citizen and then they inherited anything more than that amount, 148, 160, we're talking about 50% state tax. So the best thing to do is have something called a Q dot provision there. What Q dot provision basically does is make sure that there's no taxes like this. Again, it's a technicality, so have a Q dot provision there. Make sure if you are a J1 visa or EB1 visa, so in this way, basically there is no state taxes due. This is applicable for people who are non-US citizen.
Thank you. Again, this is an educational webinar on investments and tax planning and estate planning. And also, please, attendees should consult their own advisors and attorneys for any guidance and advice as well. So please, this is just a bare bones generic information that are applicable to all the people, but may not be specifically apply for your particular needs. So please do consult your advisors and lawyers. Again, thank you. And also, some AAPI members may have a child with special needs. So how do we address that? Anything you suggest on how to be proactive in planning on that perspective?
Yeah. So one thing is, a child with special need. I think this is fairly important that if you have a child with special need, you cannot have assets more than $2,000 under this child's name. If that happens, that all the benefit goes away. The government benefit basically goes away. So what you can do, you can create something called special need trust. The benefit of a special need trust if is that if the child inherit the money not under the child's name but under the special need trust, then the government benefits remain intact. So again, it's a small provision. I just want to touch base real quick because some API members have child with special need. Make sure you create a special need trust and don't put the child as a beneficiary, put the special need trust as a beneficiary. There are more to it, like able account and everything. That's another session we can have it, but I just want to touch base real quick.
Oh, thank you very much. That's very important. And what about, some question came up about what is irrevocable test? What is it and how do you differentiate between revocable and irrevocable trust?
Yeah. So revocable trust, let me just go back to the slide. In front, we see it. Revocable trust, it avoid probate, divorce protection, but it's part of your state and you got to step up, right? Irrevocable, what happened, usually you do it for asset protection and for gifting purpose, and you put the money out of your state. Like for example, my son, who is 5 years old, I want to give some money, but I want to control it, but I want the money to be out of my state. I can give almost 23 million if I want to. So that's through irrevocable trust. There's one problem with irrevocable trust. The difference is the revocable trust. Remember, if you are to pass away, the appreciated stock get a step up. Irrevocable trust, there's no step up. That's a big issue, big challenge. So that's why you should transfer cash or investments that may appreciate in the future. All right. So just one thing to remember, like we have some clients who have like NVIDIA stock, their net worth is 40, 50 million. But the problem is they're thinking about gifting it. Don't give NVIDIA stock because NVIDIA stock went up most likely a lot. You will lose the step up in cost basis. So be careful. Just gift it, basically the one which are depreciated or appreciated in the future. So hopefully it makes this revocable part of your state, irrevocable for gifting purpose, but no step up.
Okay, thank you very much. So also, can you please explain about what is estate tax? How does it work? What are the changes envisioned in coming years? And what is also state estate tax? Not only the federal estate tax, but tell us about state estate tax.
Yeah. Now, main topic, estate tax. Just want to talk real quick. So as of right now, Dr. Kohli, up to 27 million, almost inflation adjusted, and it may go up to 28 next year. Husband, wife both pass away. There's no estate tax. Meaning, if your net worth is less than 30 million, husband, wife both pass away, up to 27 million, no estate tax. Anything more than that, we're looking at a state tax of 30 minus 27, 40% state tax due. Very simple.
Hmm.
But there's one problem. Next year is expiring. is coming down about 6 million each, coming down to about 12 to 13 million. Husband and wife both pass away. Anything more than 13 million, 40% state tax due. It's federal. So this is a big challenge, but the advantage is before the law change, if you gift it, that particular money funds are out of your state and it grows estate tax free, if it makes sense. So that's why if your net worth is substantial, like yourself or your friends, so start gifting some money, and so the money is out of your state. So this is federal, and now each state have their own state tax. Like New York, anything more than 7 million, there's a 15% progressive in New York state tax. Massachusetts couple of million. So again, that is there as well. So both things to keep in mind. But the state tax remain there for state tax, but the federal is changing. So that's what the whole purpose of this meeting today. What can be done if your net worth is substantial to move the asset out of your state?
Okay, I don't have that problem. So that's a problem many of my friends have. Good problem to have, I guess.
Yep.
And can you also tell us about what should we worry about estate tax planning, and how much should our net worth for estate tax planning?
Yeah, so right now, Rakolis, you're saying you don't have to worry about it now. I'm just saying it, but I mean, you are young. I'm just giving an example. Like I'm just gonna choose you, okay, for the
No
hypothetical.
problem,
Let's
no,
say,
that's
let's
fine.
say your net worth is 15 million. You're saying, hey, I don't have to worry about it. I'm only, let's say, 60. No, nothing to worry about state tax. By the way, you're earning a lot, and I'm just showing you in a calculator in the front of you. I'm saving 250,000 every year. 10 years happen, 7% growth happen, you're not going to be 15 million, sir. You're going to earn money. You're going to be 33 million at that time with growth. Now, if there's no changes, remember up to 28 million, no taxes, your net worth did go up 4 million. Basically, state taxes due. And if the net worth if the law changed back, remember the law can change, they can extend it, but they can expire again. It goes down with to 6.5 million, then the state taxes is due about close to 8 million. All right. So again, it's a big challenge. It's not a question of is your net worth is 30 million now. The question is that how old are you? How long you're going to work? And what's the projection? That's something also you have to do. All right. So just keep that in mind when you do it. So then, so the question would be how much the net worth should be. I think if your net worth is more than 15 million and you are young, still working, it is a good time to start thinking about it because you can give substantial amount of money right now if you want to. You got muted for some reason. Sorry.
Okay, thank you. Can you please explain a few simple solutions how to move asset from your estate to the next generation?
Yeah. So a couple of suggestion. So this is without using any attorney whatsoever. All right. This is just you can do it yourself. Every year, about close to $18,000 to child you can gift it. So 18 times two. I'm just going to use my example. I got two boys. 18 from my side, 18 from my mind, $36,000, two kids, times two, $72,000 I can gift it. And this money is slowly but surely out of my state, number one. Number two, on top of it, like for example, my son, Ayan, he's going to private school, giving example. My mother-in-law, she's very rich, you know that. So I told her, listen, your net worth is too much. Can you pay directly to my son's college, from my son's private school? New York is private school, very expensive. So this is on top of the 18,000, and that money is also going out of her state. So again, 18,000 is there, plus on top of it, directly if you pay for grandkids like mother-in-law, or if you have multiple grandkids, they're going to private school, pay, and that money is also out of your state. So these are simple solution. A lot of people are not aware of this thing that you can also gift on top of 18,000 directly to the universities or to school. Just make sure this two simple formula, use it first.
Those like 529 plans you're talking about?
Yeah, 529 for sure, but that's still 18. But what
Okay.
about the child going to private school? Pay directly to the private school. That's on top of the 18.
Okay, very good. So what about spousal lifetime access trust, SLAT, SLAT? Tell us about it.
Yeah, so this is an irrevocable trust. So an irrevocable trust, remember, revocable we spoke about part of your state. Irrevocable trust, basically this is for mainly gifting purpose. So the benefit of SLAT is called spousal lifetime access trust. It's a type of irrevocable trust, and the money is out of your state. But as long as one of the spouse is live, you can control it as well. All right. So the benefit of SLAT is like an irrevocable trust, and as long as one of the spouse is alive, you have control over it. In a sense, the other spouse can take the money and give it to you. So how much can you gift it? So from my side, I can basically gift around 7 million from before the law after the law change, but before the law change, about 13 million from my side. My wife can gift about 13 million from her side, and it can go to something called a SLAT. As long as I'm alive, I can take the money out, give it to my wife. As long as my wife is alive, she can take the SLAT and give it to me indirectly or vice versa. The problem is if the spouse passed away. So again, SLAT is a irrevocable trust, is a good mechanism to move money out of your state, but the benefit is that it has spousal provision and it gives you some flexibility to use the money for yourself as well, and the money could be out of your state.
Let me ask one more question, then we'll go to audience questions, a few of them. And what is charitable lead trust? Can you explain that?
Yeah, one important thing, Dr. Kohli, charitable lead trust is very important. I had a client, I was talking 2 days ago, and the client's net worth was 30 million, but you'll be surprised everything is an IRA account.
Mm.
Everything. So the SLAT, remember the SLAT you cannot give irrevocable trust retirement account. And the reason why the client's net worth is so much because the client bought like all the fancy stock, Nvidia, Apple, Google, Amazon. It went up like crazy, and the client is so happy. The problem is that now I have to pay state taxes, is because I cannot even gift it. What do I do? So client's situation like this, and then also he has some assets. He doesn't want to lose the step up. So situation like this, one option could be charitable lead trust may make sense because what happened if you have a lot of retirement account or if you have a lot of assets and you don't want to lose step up and you are a little bit of a charity minded, one thing you can think about charitable lead trust. How does it work? Up to right now, we know up to $27 million, there's no state tax. Let's say your net worth is 30 million. I'm giving example. So what happened? 27 million goes to your state, that means your children. The other 3 million, it doesn't go to your children. It goes to the charitable lead trust. So there's no estate tax because the children didn't get it. It goes to charitable lead trust. The children could be the trustee of the charitable lead trust. They can manage it. But how does the charitable lead trust work? The way it works that every year, at least 5% to 6%, you must give it to some charity. Like, AAPI, I'm giving example. So the money belongs to charity, but it's not in one go. It's every year installment. How much is the installment? 5% per year. So 5% times 20, in 20 years, 100% will go to charity. That's the way the schedule works. But Dr. Kohli, you and I both know that this $3 million goes to the charitable lead trust. I can buy SPY, I can buy QQQ and leave it there. It will go up 8, 9%. So 5% is going, but the delta or whatever the profit left over, it goes all to your family estate tax free. So again, and you don't lose any step up basis, nothing to worry about. So again, for audience sitting here, worried about step up, losing step up, or a lot of money in retirement account, don't know what to do. You have to pay federal tax anyway. Do via charitable lead trust, which can go to your children state tax free plus charity as well. After you die, you have your legacy as well. So this is one good solution for people who doesn't want to lose step up and who have a lot of qualified plan and want to avoid some state taxes.
Well, let's go to some of our audience questions. You probably can read them as well. And question number one here. I thought a revocable trust don't give credit protection. When do we get irrevocable trust? Probably you touched it, but can you explain a little bit for that gentleman?
Yeah, very quickly. Yeah, there's no asset protection in revocable trust. Absolutely, you're right. When do we do irrevocable trust? If you want to, as I mentioned, gift it, only then And asset protection is also irrevocable trust asset protection as well, but only mainly for gifting purpose you're doing it.
Okay. How is step-up basis cleaner if in a trust? Can you explain more?
Yeah, so what happened that cleaner means that you already funded while you're alive in a revocable trust. It's already been funded. So there's no probate. Probate is always, in my opinion, nasty. It always depending on the controller who is doing the appraisal at the time. So that's why what I meant by that, if it's in a revocable trust, the step up basis is much easier to calculate. So that's why we do recommend if your net worth is more than 2 million, my recommendation to get a revocable trust done.
Dr. Rashmi Varma from Sacramento had a point that she's hoping to get the recording, which
Sure.
we will be sending, Syed will be sending, and we will also be broadcasting it on our website, our Facebook and YouTube channel, as well as the Wall Street Alliance Group YouTube channel. And how to plan for divorce protection as a couple when doing estate planning and estate buying.
Yeah. So remember the divorce protection can be done. I'm hoping this question is for children. So in a revocable trust, if husband and wife both pass away, by law, the revocable trust becomes irrevocable by law. So that's why it gives you full asset protection. But if the question is for while you're alive, you want to have divorce protection, prenup is a good way to do it. Or one option could be Nevada Trust, Alaska Trust. Those are there as well, but those are fairly expensive and complicated. So, but we can talk offline about it.
Yeah, Syed, somebody was asking for your contact information. Syed is part of Wall Street Alliance Group, and we will send, I think he will also will be forwarding you some contact information.
Yeah, the
And,
phone number is right on the slide at the bottom. All of this. Yeah.
all right, very good. And whatever I gift now will be excluded from new estate tax exemption from 2026. Is that correct? One of the question by RJ.
So whatever you gift right now is out of your state. I'm not sure what you mean by 2026, but if
I
the
think
law
it
change doesn't
will be,
matter. Yeah,
right, it included in your total estate transfer, right? Yeah, it will be
correct,
included, not excluded.
correct.
Yeah. Dr. Anuradha Raman, if I make an irrevocable trust in the name of my spouse and child, is that not available to me? That's a basic question
Yeah,
about
so if I make an irrevocable trust in the name of my spouse, so I remember irrevocable trust, if it's not slat, like the spousal lifetime, so if it's a plain vanilla and you have gifted under the name of your child, it belongs to the child, right? But if you're saying it over here on the name of the spouse, that means it's a SLAT, spousal lifetime access trust. So you should be fine. But if it's a plain vanilla, you gift it to the daughter's irrevocable trust. I mean, you don't have access to it, so you can't use it. So make sure that if you want to use it via your wife, just have the spousal lifetime provision. It's called SLAT, spousal trust. That's what it means.
Yeah. And DJ from Huntsville, Dr. DJ, can you own multiple trusts? He meant. Can you give some examples on how can that be done? If it
Yeah,
is
you can own multiple trusts. Like you can open up, one irrevocable trust, one descendant trust, one revocable trust, one irrevocable trust, one life insurance trust. There's so many trusts you can own it.
yeah, flat and charitable trust and all
Traveling.
those.
Absolutely. You can own
Okay.
as many trusts as you want. The next slide, I will talk about qualified personal and residence trust. I can talk about it now. In a qualified personal and resident trust, you can put your house there. You use little bit of your lifetime exemption there. The way you can design in such a way you pay yourself a rent. The trust owns it. It's called qualified personal residence in trust, and you pay the rent to this trust. And we design in such a way after 10 years, 15 years, this house is out of your state. So again, if you have a big house like the mansion you're owning, QPRT makes sense.
Okay. And let me go to the next question. What about if one needs long-term care or memory care? How can we protect the estate for children?
Yeah, if one needs long-term care, unfortunately, Some people talk about the Medicare trust. You can think about doing it, but if your net worth is 6 million at the age of 66, or 70, you probably don't need long-term care. So the question is, what is your net worth? Um, but uh, but but if you don't have it at the age of 75, it's very hard to get, or 60, hard to get long-term care. And hopefully you have substantial asset to do it, but unfortunately, you have to use the assets you have it.
Yeah, the long-term care insurances are going away. Most of them are not.
Yeah, but
Very,
if you're young and or above 50, I do recommend, and if your net worth is below 6 million, I do recommend getting long-term care. But the net worth needs to be below 6 million. Over
yeah.
6 million, the logic is the 6 million, how much money you need? You want to spend the money before you die, right? I mean, yeah, so that should be enough.
I think the average person needs about less than 4 years of long-term care.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
And how expensive is SLA? It is that spousal.
$5,000 it cost to
No,
set it up.
okay. Is in irrevocable. I'm sorry. House is in revocable trust. How do we transfer? I think that's a question by itself.
Yeah, you should move the house in a revocable trust. Correct. You should.
Yeah. Dr. Ramesheshu Anne, how do we transfer money to grandchildren via revocable trust?
Yeah. So transfer money to revocable trust. Remember, revocable trust is part of your state. You cannot do that. Right? You need to, if you want to give it to the grandkids, you can through an irrevocable trust. But then, there's something called GST that may apply, but it is possible through irrevocable trust if you want to gift it to the grandkids. But revocable trust is part of your state. You're not gifting anything, it remains there. It just avoids probate.
Yeah. So let's go back to some points you wanted to make, then we'll go back to the audience questions.
Sure.
So I think you also mentioned, you did not mention this, but what is irrevocable life insurance trust?
Yeah, one of the way, Dr. Kohli, you can avoid paying estate taxes is creating something called second to die life insurance policy. Because remember, husband and wife both pass away, there's no estate, husband or both needs to pass away, only then there's estate tax. If one person pass away, there's no estate tax because the wife gets everything tax free. Both pass away, there's a 50%, 40% estate tax. So one option could be you can have a life insurance that pays for it. Secondary life insurance policy is very cheap. Usually the ratio is 1 to 8. That means if you put $1 million, 8 million they usually give it the death benefit. So depending on your health, obviously. So one option could be you can buy second to die life insurance policy. Let's say your net worth, I'm just giving a hypothetical, 30 million, up to 27 million, no state tax, 3 million, there's a 40% state tax. You can buy for $2 million second to die life insurance policy. And that money will be used to pay the state taxes. But remember, that money is part of your state, the death benefit. So one option could be you can open up something called Irrevocable Life Insurance Trust or ILET. Move the life insurance into an ILET. You just have to wait for 3 years. After 3 years, the death benefit is out of your state. So again, a very powerful tool. If you're healthy physically, you can think about buy secondary life insurance policy universal. No whole that death benefit can be used to pay for it, but it should be owned by irrevocable life insurance trust because the death benefit must be out of your state as well.
Okay, that's very good. And lastly, what about IDGT? What does it mean? I don't get tired. Is that what it means?
I don't get tired. Yeah, this is a good question. So before IDGT, very quickly, QPRT. Just one question. Someone just asked. I just want to explain one more time. So again, that person asked the question: if a huge expensive mansion like the person was explaining, 8 million, I have it. Wow, very nice, good for you. You wanted to put it in out of your state. You can do something called qualified personal residence and trust. You design in such a way that you own it anymore. You pay rent and then and slowly every year you schedule in such a way the personal residence is out of your state. Very powerful though, only if the house is at least more than 4 million. It makes sense to do it. Florida clients, most of my Florida clients, the price went up so much, they're doing that. Okay. Now you said IDGT. Now you have tried all the option. After all the option, this is the reason I put red option because what happened that is we're getting a lot of audits. clients. So that's why you have to be careful. So intentional defective grantor trust is called IDGT, IDGT. What happened, very simple math, that you are a grantor, you open up an intentionally defective grantor trust is an irrevocable trust. What happened, you're not gifting it, you sell it, your assets to that. You sold it, you don't own it anymore, and the asset is out of your state. But how does it work? What happened, you sold it, but it's an installment sell. Every year, an amount needs to come as an income of the sale. So the money indirectly is part of your state, but hopefully you'll die before that. That's the whole idea behind it. But the problem, Dr. Kohli, is that people are misusing it. They are gifting, they are selling like 30 million, 40 million, 50 million like this assets, and IRS audits like crazy to do all of this. But again, you have tried all the options I discussed about. Is still your net worth substantial? That should be the last resort, but speak to your CPA or financial advisor if it makes sense for you.
Absolutely. Like we mentioned earlier, please seek advice from your financial planner, attorney, and other advisors as well. Okay, can you summarize which one to start first?
Yeah.
You gave a lot of information.
Yeah.
Let's make it more take-home message kind of
Yeah.
message.
So in my opinion, the first four to five are the starting point. Number two, first two in my screen, 18,000. Number of kids, husband, wife, 36,000. Very simple, no lawyer. Number two, pay directly on top of that. Children, grandchildren going to private school. Hey, go to your children and say, don't pay, let me pay. All right, number two. Number three, SLAT, non appreciated asset. Not appreciated though, you lose step up. That's number three, SLAT. Number four, charity. If you don't want to lose step up on charity, and if you're charity minded, but remember there's a wait though. 20 years after 20 years, the children get the money back. Charity. And then number five, second to die life insurance policy. These are from the easy to the more complicated. QPRT, IDGT, okay, but I'm not too crazy about it, but it's still there. But this is a good screen. I think API member can take a picture. There's nothing else out there, to be honest. I laid out everything. Do what you got to do. Maybe a combination of something.
Thank you. There's a lot of information, and I bet you're going to get a lot of questions and emails, Syed, with all this information you provided. Okay, let's go back to the audience questions.
Mhm.
What is the difference between the foundation and the charitable lead trust? Dr. Raza asked that question.
Very good question. So charitable lead trust foundation, what happened? There's nothing like every year, uh, you know, 5% you must give. Usually in foundation, you have more flexibility. What I meant by that, like, Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. So what happened? You can have more flexibility. You can have blood drive. You can have scholarship. You can give money directly there. You can do more stuff in a private foundation. Charitable lead trust, basically every year, at least 5 to 6% you must give. Private foundation, usually only 2% you have to give. That's it. It gives you more flexibility. So what we do sometime, not to make you guys overcomplicated, we combine it together. What we do charitable lead trust. Every year, 6% we have to give it to someone, and we create a private foundation for the same client. And then that money goes to the private foundation for giving more flexibility. So yes, it could be combination. You can combine if you want, but to answer the question, the charitable lead trust, higher withdrawal, you have to give it to charity, foundation lesser, and you have more flexibility.
Okay. Going to Dr. Kunda's question, can deferred compensation / IRA included in revocable trust?
Yeah, so what happened? The primary beneficiary should be the spouse. The secondary beneficiary should be the revocable trust. But the revocable trust must have the accumulation language there. Remember, Secure Act 2.0 passed. You must put that into the trust. Otherwise, put the children's name there because it will backfire because trust needs to know the 10 years rule. So that needs to be updated. But yeah, ideally, the secondary beneficiary should be the revocable trust as long as you have the language there.
All right. Have a surviving mother who has a home and one investment property. there is only a will, but properties are not in trust. Should these properties be put in a trust to avoid probate? Any situation where you just need a will, or best you put in a trust? It's a kind of very personal question, but yeah, if you want to take a shot at it, please go ahead.
Yeah, both. See, as I said, I need a little bit more information. Like, if you want divorce protection for the children as well and all of it. But both arguments can be made. Like, like I mentioned, it looks like it's a simple thing. A will maybe should be enough, but it will not avoid probate. But one option could be the house. You could put the beneficiary, the children, and the deed, or owned by the children, so that avoid probate as well. So you can say no trust needed. So both arguments can be made, but I don't think in this webinar recording I can make a generic comment.
Okay. Dr. Singhal, is IRA part of your estate? Second question in that question was, when you should convert IRA to Roth IRA, especially in Michigan?
Yeah. So yes, IRA is part of your state, of course. That's the problem. And the second question, when should you convert IRA to Roth? When the market is down. Market is up doesn't make sense. Market is down. Number one, if market is up, you're converting in a high price. Market is down, the value of IRA goes down. Now you're converting low. And ideally, you need to move to Florida. There's no estate tax. So in Michigan there is estate tax. So if you can move to Florida or Texas, it will be nice.
And also the year where you have low income with a low tax rate
Yes,
compared.
that should also help.
Yeah,
The taxable bracket makes sense. So yeah. So that's number 3 point. Number one, market down. Number two, state. Number three, low income, like you mentioned.
yeah. Dr. Ane again, Ramseshu, is it possible to convert donor advised fund account to charitable trust?
Very hard. Doesn't work.
Okay. I guess you have to start a new trust.
Yeah,
And,
new trust. Yeah,
and donor advised fund doesn't have any requirement for distribution, right? It can stay
it
there.
doesn't.
Yeah.
It doesn't.
What is marital trust, credit and credit shelter trust? Difference between them, and do they protect from creditors?
It does. It does. So the marital trust and credit shelter trust, what happened that this is after you pass away. I'm just talking about one spouse pass away, the other spouse. So the other spouse assets there, but the deceased spouse assets goes to something called marital trust or credit shelter trust. Like for example, New York. I'm giving a real example. New York, anything more than 7 million, you have to worry about progressive 15% tax. What's the solution for it? You can create like a revocable trust and have the marital trust provision there. And what happened that there's no estate taxes due after the second spouse pass away. So what happened? It stays in the marital trust. All right.
Okay.
So that's a good solution. But what happened? Do they protect from creditor? Remember, you need to pass away. Only then that portion goes there. Otherwise, nothing goes there, right? It's just a provision there that will go there after you die. Hopefully, it makes sense.
Yeah, I read an article. I didn't complete reading it. How rich people don't pay taxes. Beg and buy, borrow, buy and die is what the title of the article
Yeah,
was.
yeah.
Okay. Can you explain, Dr. Matthews had asked, can you explain how Social Security is available if we move to India?
Well, as long as that you have your 40 credits, you are qualified for Social Security full at the age of 66. Doesn't matter where you stay.
Yeah.
Uh,
Because it's automatically deposited into your bank account, right?
correct, correct.
Okay. Dr. Prem Singh, how much time it takes to make this trust?
3 months typically.
Okay. Dr. Vipul Parikh, mom has an IRA account. What can I do when she's no more?
Yeah, it's a big issue, and that's one of my clients is going through in New York, in Westchester. It's a nightmare. You have to go through probate. Hopefully, in 6 months, you should get it.
Okay. And is there any revocable trust or something similar that protects against creditors? Yeah, I think
Yeah,
it.
yeah, revocable trust, there is none, but you can think about, like, we can have another session about it. I think we have multiple session with API about asset protection, like FLP,
Yeah.
or if you I'm a financial advisor, my wife is not a financial advisor, I may get lawsuits. So one option could be my wife, if I trust her, open two trusts, one for me, one for my wife, and give my wife more assets. But the problem is that if I give her more assets, if she leaves me, I'm on the street. So two trusts can help. to divide the asset, but unfortunately, there's no asset protection revocable trust.
Best to have a wife that you can trust.
Yes.
All right.
Correct.
And let's go back. Okay, how much does it cost? How can you help us?
Yeah, so the total cost for the revocable as every time I say trust is 4,000. Very simple. So revocable trust 4,000, irrevocable trust around 5,000, ILET another 4,000. So that's what's important. There's one question, they ask that who needs this trust? If assets more than 27, revocable trust, I think if your assets is more than 2 million, you need it. Irrevocable trust, yes, you're right. If you want to gift it, correct. And then how can it help us? And as I said, that we are here to just talk about educational webinar. You don't have to use us, but speak to your CFP, CFA, financial advisor. Hopefully you have a good team who can help you everything under one umbrella very efficiently.
Yeah, I think one important question I want to ask is, what is fiduciary? What credentials should we look in a financial advisor? Because not everybody is a fiduciary, right? Tell us more about it.
Yeah, I just want to conclude by saying that when you look for financial advisor, I highly recommend. I respect the profession, but insurance agents and those people try to ignore if you can. Try to look for financial advisors who have credential like CFP, CFA. They have the highest standard of fiduciaries. Like if you have multiple complaints, you cannot have CFP. So board certified financial advisor or certified plan fiduciary advisor or CFA are also good credentials. And a true fiduciary will give you everything upfront, honest. And a true fiduciary usually have everything under one umbrella. Like if you see our team, we have CFA, CFP, actuaries, everything in-house. You don't have to go, multiple places to take everything under one umbrella. We take care of it. And as I mentioned to you, Dr. Kohli, that investment management, in my opinion, you can do it yourself, but you use financial advisor for other service beside investment management. Can you
Yeah.
take care of my will, trust? But usually, if you use a financial advisor, there's some investment requirement. Like we have an investment requirement to be our client. You invest some money with us, but all the other consultation are included into it. There's no separate cost for it, but you do have to pay to draft the will and trust. But at least everything is under one roof. So only use financial advisor if you have more than investment management need. That's all I'm recommending to most of my clients and API members.
All right. There are a few questions in there. What is FLP? You want to take a stab at it?
Yeah, so family limited partnership, not every state has it, but for example, Texas, they have it, FLP. So if you need simple, plain vanilla asset protection solution, FLP is a one way of doing it. FLP have a two uh, component. One is general partner, one is a limited partner. General partner have all the liability, limited partner have no liability. So what we give 2% to general partner, 98% to limited partner like yourself. So in this way, if the lawsuit happen, only 2% is open, 98% are protected. So you can design in such a way, not every state has it, but Texas or most of this like Michigan, they have it. So if you need simple asset protection solution, FLP may be a good way to go.
Okay. And when can we get the recording? Yeah, you'll be receiving the recording both from API as well as from Wall Street Alliance Group, which is Mr. Syed's group. And let me look over any other questions left. Again, timing of the Roth IRA conversion. Is there any calculator for that? Do you have any answer for that? Or?
Yeah, you answer more than better than me that the taxes needs to be low, and then the market needs to be down. It's a good time to do a Roth conversion.
Yeah. I think we answered most of the questions. If you want to give some parting comments, Nishad and from a Wall Street Alliance Group, please. I really appreciate Syed. Like he's a true fiduciary. Is one of the most straightforward, honest, ethical person I have met in this field of financial planning. I have no questions about his transparency and his accountability and his loyalty to members and all our needs. Thank you, Syed.
Thank you, Dr. Kohli, for the kind words. And again, looking forward to maybe have another webinar depending on the audience reaction. So we'll send the recording to you. You can send it to your API members.
Thank you and have
Thank
a
you.
good night. And everybody stay warm. And Dr. Sateesh Kathula is working very hard to bring a lot of programs to all of you. Please look forward and for his emails and communications. He's right now planning his activities in Global Healthcare Summit. So we'll be communicating, Dr. Kathula will be communicating to you soon through his emails and postings. Thank you so much. Have a good
Thank you.
night.
Have a good night. Thank you, Dr. Kohli. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Good night.